Well, good evening, everyone. This is MightyStream. Today is April 30th. I'm here to do the Just for Today in a meditation with you for April 30th. I'm greeting you in the evening. I've had a very full day, but I wanted to make sure that I got in here before midnight because in just a few hours, I'm going to wake up and I will be doing the May 1st Just for Today meditation for you. So I'm real glad to be here with you today. I'm grateful for this day. It's been, like I said, it's been a long day, but it's been a very um, introspective type day and a very beautiful one as well. I wanted to go ahead and get into this reading. I won't take much of your time. If you're still looking for it, I want to make sure that it posts tonight. April 30th, God does for us. Ongoing recovery is dependent on our relationship with a loving God who cares for us and will do for us what we find impossible to do for ourselves. Basic text, page 99. How often have we heard it said in meetings that God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves? At times, we may get stuck in our recovery, unable, afraid, or unwilling to make the decisions we know we must make to move forward. Perhaps we are unable to end a relationship that isn't working. Maybe our job has become a source of too much conflict. Or perhaps we feel we need to find a new sponsor, but are afraid to begin the search. Through the grace of our higher power, unexpected change may occur in precisely the area we felt unable to alter. We sometimes allow ourselves to become stuck in the problem instead of moving forward toward the solution. At these times, we often find that our higher power does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Perhaps our partner decides to end our relationship. We may get fired or laid off, or our sponsor tells us that he or she can no longer work with us, forcing us to look for a new one. Sometimes what occurs in our lives can be frightening, as change often seems. But we also hear that God never closes the door without opening another one. As we move forward with faith, the strength of our higher power is never far from us. Our recovery is strengthened by these changes. Just for today, I trust that the God of my understanding will do for me what I cannot do for myself. You know, how powerful is that reading today? How powerful to think about my day and think about, let's say, the 29th. Right. The 29th, I stayed up all the way up until midnight because I needed to be awake when April 30th came about. And it's a long story, but it is definitely one that I intend to write about and to share about eventually. But April 30th is a significant day, which I memorialize, my own children. That are not here with me. Um, and because of having suffered the loss of my children, um, unborn babies, forced abortions, right? Having to go through dealing with being controlled by a drug dealer, 21 years my senior, at the age of 16. Because of that, I never really know how April 30th is going to hit me. But I do know for over 28 years, I have been able to wake up on April 30th, go to bed, and wake up on May 1st, year after year, decade after decade. I've been able to successfully do that, not because of my own strength, but because of the strength of a God that is loving and caring and looks over me, that I trust, right? I turn my will and my life over to the care of God. And so because of that trust and that relationship, I have been able to persevere and continue to live and to show up, to grow up. There have been things that I want to say there have been many things that I thought were unsurmountable. And all I needed to do was to confess with my lips, this is bigger than me. I need you, God, to work this out. And he has never, my God has never left me down. There have been times I would say maybe that I didn't feel like God was moving as fast as I wanted him to. But I can say in general, God has never let me down. I am always amazed at the strength, the absolute strength of, I'm amazed at the strength that I am embodied with, the certainty that I'm embodied with, the faith that I'm emboldened with. And it's not my own doing. It's because I keep myself postured in the presence of my God. I keep myself postured in a prayerful manner, in a humble manner, because I know that I cannot do the things that I'm doing in and of myself. I would have quit a long time ago. And maybe you can relate to that, but you have to have a higher power that is all of that. And I don't know that I started out that way, right? I started out with this higher power that had become dwarfed because of it was so complicated to serve. This higher power is so complicated to serve. People were making it complicated to serve God. But with time, through my own blunders and my own changes, my own circumstances that were greater than me, I was able to see that God really loved me and cared for me and would show up for me. If I allowed my higher power to do that, he would do that. And I believe, regardless to who your higher power is, if you allow, right? Because it's kind of one of those things. How do you say it? I'm thinking kind of like it's not for those that need it, it's only for those that want it. Another situation would be when it talks about how God won't put us through anything more than we can bear, or I want to see exactly how the Just for the Day quoted it. But we also hear that God never closes a door without opening another one. So the message between those things is that there's never going to be anything. It may appear to be a failure, but God is not going to allow that situation to fail. And the reason why I think that God will not allow that situation to fail is because God has a reputation at stake. He has a name as Abba Father, right? He has a name at stake that is above any other name. And God knows that you consider him to be your higher power. And I believe that that means that there has to be a response, that God cannot respond to your situation. But you have to be looking. You have to be attentive enough to notice when the door is closing and a window is opening for you to move out through, right? You have to be able to be conscientious enough to know when that is taking place. Otherwise, what happens is that just like myself, you will feel abandoned by God. You will feel left by your higher power. or you will feel resentful. Like, how dare you take my mom? How dare you take my sister? How dare you take my nephew like that? How dare, right? You will attribute many situations to your higher power as somehow being a slight towards you without really fully considering that every human being has to be responsible for their own life. So let's say, say your mother passes suddenly and you're not expecting it. Now, what were the attributes, or what were the situations that caused your mother to, was it old age? Well, then if it was old age, then we could say, you know, a lot of other things were going on, but basically my mom died from old age. She lived a full life, right? Versus the mom that dies at 42, right? So when the mom that is 42 and has barely had a chance to see her oldest child even turn 20 even, right? We know something is amiss with that. And it was sudden. We know something was not right with that. And it would be very easy to say, that was not just, that was not, how in the world did that happen? But then we have to, before we become resentful with God over that, for not protecting their life so they can live a full life, we need to look at what were the factors involved in that. Were there health issues that were being undiagnosed? Were there health issues that were not being acknowledged? Did they just think they were having a headache, come to find out they were having an aneurysm, right? So we tend to want to put things and place blame on God for things that are very humanistic and out of our personal control, personally. Right? I know for myself that if I do not take better care of my physical health, my days will be shorter. I know that for a fact, right? I'm in my mid 50s, and I know for a fact that if I expect to get another even 30 years out of this body, that I will need to take better care of it. So nobody in my family should be angry with anyone other than me if my life is cut short because of some sickness, because I know goodness well that I could do a better job of taking care of my body. Now, if I'm driving and I get hit or something, God forbid, right? That is on the person that hit me, right? So would that be horrible for my family to attribute my death to God and be angry with God? I know I'm hitting on something because I can't let it go. I cannot let the discussion go, because we are talking about today, what we're talking about is that God does for us what we cannot possibly do for ourselves. Is that ongoing recovery is dependent on a relationship, our relationship with a loving God who cares for us and will do for us what we find impossible to do for ourselves, right? So we're talking about God having some responsibility towards us to be able to be our help in a time of trouble when we're not able to do for ourselves at all. But what about the stuff we can do for ourselves? I'm just asking, because this topic of losing people that we love is a big topic. It's a hot topic. We are losing people left and right. One, starting out with COVID-19, but we are starting to lose a lot of people that we thought we was going to be able to kick it with, enjoy their company come tomorrow, and come to find out they didn't make it through the night. And I would caution us to know and to understand that we put a lot of things on our higher power because it's comfortable. I really truly believe we cannot break the back of our higher power. I can't break my higher power's back. I can be angry, I can be sad, I could be disgruntled. Just like a parent, a parent that is parenting their children have to tell them no sometimes. That child might be upset for a moment, but I guarantee you they're going to get hungry, they're going to need something, they're going to want something, and whatever they call themselves being upset about is going to pass because they still need parenting. It's the same way with God. It's the same way with my higher power. It is not, I don't always get what I want when I want it, but I do get the things that I need. And I have never been left without. I have never. I'm telling you, I've been dry financially down to my last, not even on my last dime, on somebody else's dime, on a promise of paying you on Tuesday. I have seen moments like that, and I have looked up in my mailbox and seen checks for hundreds of dollars because there's a credit sitting somewhere that I had no idea was sitting there. You mean to tell me I get to pay my debt, I get to pay my mortgage, I get to pay off my car insurance and all of that? And I was high and dry looking for $1. And now I have several hundreds. So I've had that type of situation happen. I've had the situation where I would have to, spread out the budget so that we could eat. And that meant that there wasn't a whole lot of seconds. Now, this is MightyStream, and I believe I can be very forward about this because I don't have anything to hide like that, right? My life is not all cushy. Could it have been? Probably if I had made some different choices, surely. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't have been a millionaire by now, but that is not my story at the moment. There have been times when I had to figure out how I was going to make certain things work so that everyone in the house could have 3 square meals. And I wasn't too concerned about snacks, but I was definitely concerned with breakfast. And if it was during school time, I wasn't concerned about lunch, but I was concerned about dinner. So 2 to 3 square meals to make sure at that time, 5 people in one household and sometimes 6, make sure that everybody ate. And that meant that I had to oftentimes watch my kitchen like a hawk. No, you cannot have that. That is for dinner tomorrow. Put that back. If I cooked up a bunch of meat and I split it off and I came into the kitchen and found somebody had gotten into the other portion that was for tomorrow, yes. Why would you do that? There's tons of other things. There's bread, peanut butter and jelly, cinnamon toast. There's other things that you can have. Don't mess with the stuff that I'm trying to make a meal with. I don't appreciate that. I had one son would get into stuff that was meant for a meal and didn't have the audacity to not even finish it. I told his father, you need to talk to that child. Because when you start taking food off the table of other people in the house, as hard as I work, I have a problem with that. Right? Don't be so inconsiderate. And so I want to say there's been times I have really been pressed to the wall and God just showed up. Just showed up. So I want to encourage you because I know that God will do for you. The way that God has done for me, God will do for you. Matter of fact, I want to challenge you. MightyStream wants to challenge you to move forward like the need has already been met. They taught us in our counseling class to ask the miracle question. If this is your problem, suppose a miracle happened and that problem was suddenly taken away, what would you be doing instead of what you're doing right now? And whatever you say you would be doing, I want to challenge you to go ahead and do that. If it's that you would go and bless somebody, go ahead and bless them. If it would be that you would go ahead and take a road trip, go ahead and take that road trip. I want to challenge you to walk on this faith that is talked about in this Just for Today in a meditation. It says, as we move forward with faith, the strength of our higher power is never far from us. Our recovery is strengthened by these changes. So faith is a big step, right? And it increases over time. Every victory that you go through, every victory, in fact, you can't even call it a victory unless there was some sort of something to win or something to lose. I mean, a victory is contingent on the fact that there was a potential loss. Just the thought of having a victory, well, you must have been either in a battle, in a race. There was something, two polar opposites that were there for you to have a victory. And every victory comes by way of trial. And every trial that you come through victorious on is just one more thing to add to your faith. And as you build that faith muscle up, it's like going to the gym on a regular basis. You go to the gym on bad days, you go to the gym on good days. You make your heart muscle work and you build muscle. You tear muscle down by lifting heavier weights, and then it repairs itself. And when it repairs itself, it grows stronger. That's the same thing with faith. By way of trial, your faith muscle increases because every time you come away from something victorious, you have something to add, another layer of faith to add. And the whole purpose of those changes in your faith muscle is for larger victories, larger trials, larger challenges, or for you to be able to turn around and help someone else. When you're looking down on the person, it only should be because you extended a hand to help them up. So I'm speaking with conviction tonight because I have passed through. I'm only 2 hours away from being into May 1st. And I thank God. I thank everyone that is listening. And I want to say to you that I'm with you. I'm standing with you. But more importantly, I know that the God of your understanding will do the same for you. Good night, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.